NIT Bombay are the implementing agencies. These are neutrality focused on founding of 64-bit quad-core microprocessor operating to gigahertz, while IIT Madras and IIT Bombay will build a family of 32-bit and 64-bit microprocessors operating up to 1.5 gigahertz. The first version of the NVIDIA dedicated microprocessor chip is targeted in January 2018. Let me invite your attention to the screen for more details.
Microprocessor is a programming high-state memory, unit, and decision-making capability similar to the CPU of a computer. The need for an indigenous microprocessor in our country had been identified long back. Now this need has become much more accentuated by the growing complexity and pervasive use of the electronic systems today. Every electronic system of today has a microprocessor embedded in one form or the other. It is estimated that the number of microprocessor devices in use today exceeds the human population of the planet by 100 times. Presently, there are roughly about 20 different families of microprocessor architecture worldwide, which are being used as such. There is some very informed by almost every electronics product of today. Technologically advanced countries today have effectively harnessed the strategic advantages and efficiencies afforded by the area of electronics to improve their national and international stature and secure prosperity. Our country's manpower resources in the field of electronics and information technologies, though minimal, is lacking in terms of ambitions to design affordable electronics products and systems to satisfy the needs of our nation. Ministry of Electronics Government of India has initiated a microprocessor development program to develop India's own microprocessor with CPAC. IIT Madras and IIT Bombay as the implementing agencies. A family of microprocessors ranging from microcontrollers to high-performance computing processors will be developed as part of this program. These microprocessors will be an effective workhorse in the area of commercial, industrial, and strategic applications. Potential applications include secure router, smartphone, tablet, PC, electronic voting machine, IoT, artificial intelligence, and machine learning systems, with the first step targeted for January 2018, and fabrication will be done at SCL, January.
Mr. Mika Verma, Director of IT, is also coordinator for this project. I want to prepare to take my IT to the next project partner. Shri Ramani, the Executive Director, CDI Control. Professor B. Kamakoti, IIT Madras.
Voice is not clear. Complaint आ रहा है इसमें. आपने जो voice दे रहे हैं ना, voice ठीक से नहीं. Voice ठीक से नहीं. Voice ठीक से नहीं आ रहा है. एक मिनट. आप एक काम करो. आपके पास हेडफोन है?
Laptop का mic on है.
ये म्यूट नहीं होगा, म्यूट होगा तो पूरा बंद हो जाएगा ना। ये तो म्यूट नहीं होना चाहिए। इसका
Let us take a look at some of the uses of this training program.
This was very good place to learn how to bring all those things together and actually design.
And it is definitely going to be a remarkable journey in creation of smartphone manufacturing in India.
We got a lot of knowledge from the MediaTek how the smartphone can be designed and how we can actually improve our own product in India. So I'm seeing a great future in India. We met a lot of vendors, we visited a lot of factories. If you look all together, I mean, this kind of experience is very difficult to get anywhere.
The training is really superb and I genuinely enjoy each and every moment of this training.
So overall experience is very good.
There are many classes. This is one of the memorable class. I enjoyed a lot. And I can give, if you are asking for 5, I can give 10. So this is how the class was. He has given very detailed explanation with basic conditions. Like these are the basic theory behind it. You have to work for this. This is the high-end technology. So all the things he covered.
We arranged 5 MediaTek lab in this program. Why we choose this 5 lab? Because it is the most common interface with end users, like the antenna chamber, and the SAR chamber, and including the camera capture, servo control, and the ESD detection.
Okay, so basically our method is that we will use our gun to directly contact because in the mobile phone. So there we saw different kind of tests that were done, like the SAR test. Also, there was a lab in which the transmitted power was measured. We do not find a lot of such labs in India.
If you are using the phone constantly, you will be getting some heat. You will be some heating, facing some heat on that. So that's how we tested the heat. What level should the heat will be there? This device,
so it was good going there and learning something new that I had not seen earlier.
The focus on development of mobile component manufacturing ecosystem in India got kick-started in 2016 based on institution of the differential excise duty dispensation on mobile batteries, chargers, and wire handsets in the budget 2016-17. Considering the unprecedented growth witnessed in this section during the past 1 year, it may only be a matter of time before India truly becomes the global manufacturing hub for mobile handset, its parts, components, and accessories in the years to come. As we announce phase 2 of the project investment promotion for mobile manufacturing practical hands-on for another batch of 45 mobile handset design engineers to be trained in Taiwan and India, it is a pleasure for me to request Secretary Mighty to thank and felicitate partners for the successful completion of phase 1 of the program. The program aims to help stimulate the growth of mobile industry, flow of capital and technology, create employment opportunities, promote higher value addition in the mobile handset manufactured in the country, and reduce dependence on imports. May I now request Sri Rajiv Kumar, DG NILET, and Joint Secretary MITI to come forward. Secretary may kindly felicitate the partners for the training program. Ms. Asta Arya, she would be receiving on behalf of Mr. Grant Koo, Managing Director, MediaTek. He's in Taiwan. Mr. Sanjeet Singh, receiving on behalf of Mr. Pankaj Mahindru, National President, ICA. Thank you, everybody. I hand over to Gitanjali for the further program.
Thank you so much, Meenakshi ma'am. I now invite Dr. Ajay Kumar, Additional Secretary, MITI, to give his remarks, please.
Good morning, friends. Respected Secretary MITI, Shri Ajay Sahani, my dear colleagues, Shri Sanjay Rakesh, Dr. Devashish Datta, my dear friend and President of MATE. Now you formally joined Vice President. So when are you becoming the President? So Vice President Harish Krishnan, friends, it's a matter of great privilege and happiness that we are standing here at the onset of GCCS, which is a global event. And it's a matter of great pride for India that we are having such a major global cyberspace event in India, in New Delhi. And to build up the tempo and the momentum, it's what is better than to celebrate and to review in some ways what's happening in the electronic sector. So I think this is the right time and this is the right moment to really be looking back and saying what has gone right and what has not gone wrong. There has been some progress, and I think, like Sanjay was saying, there's a lot of optimism and there is some action on the ground. But what is also very important is that what has been achieved is still very nascent and can go away unless we make sure that we create very strong and sturdy, deep roots that will make sure that the industry and the investment that is coming in continues to remain here and grow. And how can that be achieved is really the goal before all of us who are associated with the development of this sector. I think, first of all, I would like to say that in the electronic sector, the industry organizations, if I may say them, and the people who have been representing these organizations have been truly real partners or actually leaders in the sense of having been able to rise above their own personal interests and think of industry as a whole, so that the policies that came up have actually benefited the sector And to that extent, I must compliment all those who have participated in this whole process and would like to request them that we continue to seek your support and cooperation in coming time, because that's going to be extremely, extremely important. One of the things that I would like to say is that, we are really trying to make a huge, we are facing, in electronic sector and in the whole of technology sectors, because of the very nature of this industry, which is knowledge intensive, some players tend to become very big. In electronic sector, some geographies tend to become very big, and we have to actually break those trade barriers, break those entry barriers, and actually compete with them to be able to make a mark. As a country, we have to be really seeing how we can be as competitive as China or Taiwan or Korea or even Vietnam, Malaysia, and Singapore. And this is a really difficult task. But what really encourages us that, the effort to make this change is really like trying to push a big rock, which is very heavy, Initially, it's very difficult, but once the rock starts to roll, then the effort reduces. And I think it is that rolling effort that we need to make sure that we all put our best effort together and make sure that we start the whole process rolling, so that going forward, I think the momentum will build up and more investments will start to flow in. And we are seeing some, green shoots of that. And I think this will continue to happen. To build this momentum, I think what is necessary from government side, we have always been talking to the industry in this regard. And this is 5 years since the first electronics policy came now. We are at a watershed moment when we are again seeking inputs from the industry with respect to how the next, let's say, 5 years or so should look like, what will make this rock to really roll forward, how to build up on the momentum that has obtained. And I think we really need to make sure now that we build on our strengths. Way back in 2012, we did not have, and when I say we, I'm not talking of myself, I'm talking as a group who was making this policy, did not have enough understanding that were there any specific areas where we would like to focus our energies and efforts. And therefore, we had a broad-based approach where, depending on the market situation, depending on the low-hanging fruits, people will come forward and take the, whatever is best is available, take those opportunities. And then we said, let's see how we can go from there. Now we have some indications of what's happening. And in that direction now, let's now build on our strengths, build on our competencies, build in areas where we think we are doing better. And maybe we need to also address areas where we're not doing so well, but definitely we should strengthen our areas of strength. And that is why we have asked sectoral groups in electronics policy to come up with what needs to be done in these areas. And we hope that we will, apart from having the generic recommendations with respect to what needs to be done, we will have vertical specific recommendations which are specific to those verticals and which can help shape those verticals going forward in future. One of the areas which I think is crucial, and like I said, in this game, I mean, you can be a Nokia 1 year and you can be not there in the next year. And this is not, I mean, this is just a kind of, this is how the nature of the animal is. The good news is that it also means that you don't have to be a big player to emerge out and become a very big player in the matter of 5 to 7 years. So companies, our fledgling companies, our small companies, if they can actually come up with innovative products, if they can come up with that brilliant idea which works for large number of people, I think then we have actually hit the nail on the head. And this is quite possible. For example, I always say Aadhaar is such a simple idea for identity. But today, Aadhaar is one of the top 5 platforms in the world, in competition with Google and Facebook and whatever else you have, the Alibabas. It's one of the top 5 platforms in the world. It's among the top 10 sites which fetches highest traffic from India, including Google and Facebook and the others again, So that's already in, few years, and we are still really seeing the Aadhaar ecosystem and all the resistance that comes with it. We're just seeing the ecosystem grow. We are the only country who have developed technology where you don't need a mobile phone or a card or any other form of apparatus to actually make a payment from your bank account. You can do it without a thumb. I'm not aware of any other country where you can do this. Simple and innovative. And that's again going to be something. So I'm sure that we can come up with some, there are a lot of these bright people out there who can come out with these brilliant ideas, which can be game-changing ideas. And those game-changing ideas can help our electronics industry to actually grow very fast. I think the most important thing is therefore innovation and thrust on innovation. So going forward, we must also see how do we inculcate this whole priority for innovation in our industry. We are today, in manufacturing side, I think we are getting ease of doing business has reduced, has increased, or our ranking has gone up, and the infrastructure is improving, and therefore manufacturing ecosystem will continue to improve, and we hope that we will do well. We have the natural strength of large number of human resources, which no one else can match in the world. But on the innovation side, I think this is one area where we really need to take a step forward. Government has been doing its bit. A lot of wonderful work is happening. We saw today 2 wonderful projects. I think 2 defining projects from the hardware perspective. One, the microprocessor, and I must compliment Professor Kamakoti and his team. Amazing work. I have had the privilege of hearing him about the microprocessor. I am confident that the India microprocessor will happen, and will happen very, very shortly. I have no doubt in my mind. And so that when the India microprocessor will happen, it will unleash a whole range of products around the India microprocessor, which I think the industry should leverage and start developing these products definitely will be required for strategic sector, and over a period of time, maybe for the commercial sector as well. The second is the NAVIC chip, which is the Indian GPS, which has been developed, and today we are going to the next level of NAVIC chip development, which today was formally announced. But as we speak, we are also going with the commercialization of NAVIC chip. Our ambition is that we should really be as popular as GPS, and that is we should be actually residing in every mobile phone, which is possibly the most common phones. And if there is going to be some device which is going to be more common than, if they are going to be implantables, which are going to be more, or wearables, which are going to be more popular than mobile, maybe in future in those implantables and wearables also. But the point is, we should really have that ambition. Now, where we are is we have a NAVIC chip which has been tested in lab and field situations, and we are going for the first commercial deployment of NAVIC chip. And METI has come out with the RFP for design, development, and supply of 10 lakh NAVIC chips. Now, we have Velankani here, who has been a model of how partnership with industry has led to development of the first conditional access system in the country, and a very successful experiment. I remember when we started this project, sir, we had put a very ambitious target of 2.5 lakh set-top boxes and 5 broadcasters in a period of 3 years. And we really did not believe this would happen. And I'm happy to say that period of 3 years is not over. It's only 2 years. They have crossed 10 lakh installations and about, I don't know how many, 25, 30 broadcasters? I don't know how many broadcasters. 20. The point is, and here we were looking to actually develop the set-top box for India. They have gone ahead and started exporting from India. India is now, instead of becoming, so 100% of the gases were imported in India 2 years back. Today, they have started getting interest for export of conditional access system and set-top boxes from India. India is becoming a producer and exporter. This is, I think, a tremendous message for the other kind of products that it can happen. I think this is the way to go. And I think there is a, more than importantly, what it means for the set-top industry and for Velankani, I think this has an important message for the larger industry as a whole. I think with government collaboration and industry effective participation and belief in themselves, that you can actually produce a product which can compete with there is no escaping the global competition. And I think if anyone, we have given differential duty and it gives some protection, but I must tell you that the whole logic of differential duty has been phased reduction of differential duty, because the moment the phased reduction of differential duty stops, it is my personal belief that that is the first day of ensuring that electronic industry will not happen. We are back in the 80s, we are back in the 70s, and we will continue to have, we will cater to as long as there is some protection, but then someone else is willing to come. The moment the protection is taken off, we are off. But the real way is set-top box. There is no protection apart from the conditional access system support that was given one time. And today, in fact, they are facing zero duty. They are facing some adverse duties also. But we are exporting, and we are able to export. And I think the real strength has to be in being able to compete in the market, sell in the market at market rates, and go out there and export. So really, the aim is produce for India to start and export from India to the rest of the world, because India in the end is a market which is still maybe 5% of the global market or 6% of the global market. So if we are looking at the Indian market of electronics, we are looking at a very small part of the pie. We are losing out on the 95%. If China has become where it is, if Taiwan has gone where it is, if other countries, Korea has gone where it is because they looked at the world, at the market. And I think the most important thing that we have to look consciously and plan consciously and target consciously, if we have to reach anywhere, it has to be the export market. And therefore, going forward, we really have to see what strategies need to be adopted to develop that export orientation. I think one of the huge areas, I don't know if that segment is represented here or not, but we have Vinod. Vinod, of course, is, he knows this sector so well, is the area of medical electronics. I think this is a huge area of interest with a lot of problems. And I think we collectively in this industry need to see how we are able to break this market. Today, we have 1.3 billion people, out of which less than 10% are in terms of, if you compare with most of the developing or kind of countries, BRICS kind of countries, let us not look at the developed countries, we are less than 1/4 in terms of most of the medical device penetration. And we need to change that, both in terms of the health and of the country and the ability to be able to give them better quality of life and longevity. There is a huge potential for innovation. And one of the first things, and Dr. Datta will possibly remember, when I joined this ministry, I was most thrilled about was this programmable digital hearing aid developed by Ramani. Dr. Ramani is here. He knows this. A wonderful device, brought down the cost of programmable digital hearing aid to 1/10, from $1,000 to $100. One simple design could do that. And I used to be so excited when I heard this, because I couldn't believe this was true. And then they showed me, and I went to one of the meetings where they were distributing these are actual devices. Then one of my batchmates actually, sir, he called me up and said, no, I've heard this CDAC devices are very good. His parents were having, most of us will have, hearing deficiencies as we grow old. And I think, so he wanted for his parents and he was very happy with the product. It's a top class product and 1/10 of the price. My question is, why can't we do it for many more products? Honestly, I think this is possible. The medical prices, medical equipment, medical device prices are way higher than what it can be if those can be developed here. And we have been supporting a few of these devices through BIRAC, under which we have given some 10 projects or so have been given grant, and they are coming out very well. But I think a much more concerted and a bigger effort needs to be done with respect to medical electronics, which needs to take place. I think, let me say this. So I think this, to my mind, this is a very crucial time with respect to seeing how the next few years for electronics industry will, we have a secretary who's extremely, positive, excited, and willing to go out of the way to make sure that the electronics industry reaches the highest, growth trajectory that is possible. And we have a joint secretary who is extremely, when I look at him, he reminds me of, there is this, whole, theory of violence of action. So, the whole idea is it's never enough. This is one of the paratroopers from US who was in counterinsurgency operations in Afghanistan, who has written this book called Total Focus. And he has come up with this violence of action theory, actually. And he says, that it's, it's never enough to want to achieve something. But what you really need is to have fast directed action. Fast directed action, because unless you do fast directed action, even if you go wrong sometimes, but you need to act. And unless you act, you will not get there. So I think all the pieces are right there in the right places. And I think with support from all of you, I think we have a great opportunity to see that how the electronic sector can be grown. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Shri Ajay Prakash Sahni, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and IT, to deliver his keynote address.
Dr. Ajay Kumar, Sanjay ji, Devashish ji, Harish ji, friends from the IITs, academic institutions, R&D institutions, CDAC, I think all our partner associations and friends from the industry. It's wonderful to be here. First of all, I think we, as a curtain raiser for a very important, huge event, GCCS, which actually day after tomorrow we actually roll out GCCS, but already a very large number of events have been held. In the past few months, we have had a fairly large number of events. In one of those events, we had participants, which I participated in, we had participants from 60 countries. And, it was amazing to see people congregating into New Delhi for such events. And day after tomorrow, it is participants from 130 countries that have registered to participate in this event. We have ministers from a large number of countries, more than 30 countries who are coming in, and dignitaries from all over. So as we prepare for that event, I think it's very apt that we are here to discuss something which is very dear to us and something of great significance for the country. I think we have written a wonderful story together in the area of information technology. India is today seen as a very important and a very large player. In some of the segments where we are present in information technology, we are seen as the leaders in the world in terms of numbers, in terms of contribution. And this growth has, come over about 25, 30 years. And I have actually seen this happen, and I can feel very, very strongly that in electronics, we are where we were in information technology around 20 years ago. We had the green shoots, we had the early indications of what could happen in IT. And it was a very small and, a very tiny thing, Y2K, actually, which actually acted as a pivot for us to grow our industry very big. In Y2K was the most boring job in the world. Just imagine having to go back to code which was written 30 years ago and 40 years ago, and then trace out every line and trace out everything. But Indian talent, Indian tenacity had the ability to actually handle that, and handle that not only for ourselves, but for the world. And on a tiny opportunity, we wrote a huge story, a story where the rate of growth, compounded rate of growth was immense. At one stage when McKinsey had in 10 years, they had predicted some huge growth. People were all very skeptical. Actually, it took us a little more than 10 years. It took us 10.5 years, but we got to a very, very ambitious target. Today, we are in the area of ESDM, in the area of electronics, in the area of design, in the area of manufacturing. We are almost where we were around 20 years ago. The green shoots are there. The indications are there that we have that ability. The two things that we have seen in this program itself, and one which was mentioned, CAS, ECAS, I think that's a great example of what we are able to do. NAVIC is potentially a huge technology, not just for India, but something that could be relevant for well beyond India. And all of this has got done here. The microprocessor effort which is underway is again an extraordinary effort, and I hope that we will have very good success in that. We have the ability, we have the market, we have the largest market, and even more important than that, we have the largest underserved or unserved market in the world. Now, the combined capabilities, one of having capabilities in IT, second, that almost every major company in the world today has an R&D and design presence in India. It is our professionals who are helping Qualcomm. It is many of our professionals are helping. If you go to Taiwan and see who, in some of their finest companies, Indians have made their way and they are very much present there. Anything that anyone is designing today, anywhere in the world and for the world, I think Indian engineers, Indian design talent, Indian expertise is there and it is contributing. And that is a growing number. In the past couple of years, the area that has grown faster than the broad IT in India is the captives, the R&D and design in the captive centers. On one side, we have the ability. On the other side, we have seen some of the early movers, grow and consolidate. And we have a huge market, only one part of the market, which is the mobile phones, has shown us what is possible. The growth rate has been extraordinary and the ambition is even more extraordinary. I think from 6 crore to 11.5 crores to 18 crores. And in a couple of years, we are talking in terms of trying to reach 50 crore units being assembled and manufactured within the country. The growth rate is extraordinary and the value addition, in terms of value addition also, the progress is steady. It is not very impressive today, but it is steady. We are moving towards more and more value addition, almost quarter after quarter. And our small step of a phased manufacturing program seems to be working. We need at this point to do what we did at one point in information technology. I think not only for mobile phones, but also for all the other electronics products, we must figure out which are the finest companies anywhere in the world. Many of you are working very closely with them. Some of these companies are already present here. Manish is here, Panasonic. They are very much present here. And Panasonic is today a leader in something like lithium ion. They are helping Tesla be what it is. We need to figure out product segment by product segment, what goes into each product. If we are importing, what is it we are importing? What are the sub-assemblies in that? Who makes those sub-assemblies? Where do they make those sub-assemblies? Which are the leaders in making sub-assemblies for different kinds of products? What goes into the sub-assemblies? Who makes those components? Where do they make those components? What is the economics of that? Are those companies thinking of expanding? Do they have a big footprint in India? Do they have partners in India? If so, who is their partner? Who is their main buyer? Are they going to expand? Because many of them share their plans with, in the newspapers, you can actually discern whether something is happening. Are they growing rapidly? We need to figure out which are the most important missing cogs, missing parts of our ecosystem. And have a concerted plan in which, again, earlier we used to try to act from the side of governments. It was primarily pushed from the state governments that helped us grow IT industry in many places, coupled with some tax regime and some umbrella support that was given by central government. Today we have an even better system where we are no longer talking in terms of government taking up the entire effort. It is a Team India approach. And I am delighted to see that every step of the way, we are today in consultation with all of you. We are today in partnership with all of you. It is time for us to figure out product segment by product segment, which are the major companies worldwide, who is already here. If they are here, are they here with their entire spectrum of what they do? If not, how do we make it happen? Those who are not here, which are the most crucial ones for the Indian ecosystem to be complete? How do we bring them in? And many of you who are partners with the global majors have to actually help figure out how to bring them in. Together, we have to recognize the power of our market, the power of a huge and growing market. The second area, which I think Dr. Ajay Kumar also has mentioned very beautifully, he has alluded to that, is that electronics today, electronics we used to feel is a vertical. And still we feel it is maybe a set of 2 or 3 or 4 verticals. But like information technology, I think electronics is also becoming a horizontal. The growth is not going to be just in terms of the existing product segments. Electronics is going to get deep into every domain. It is going to get deep into every segment. And it is going to help us solve unsolved problems in each of the segments. If it is an issue of agriculture, it is devices, sensors, electronics, and a network of that, and being able to digest the kind of data that comes in to actually be able to go for precision agriculture, water management, almost any domain, medical devices. Medical devices just not even the big, it's just a beginning. We have not seen anything happen. There's huge, huge opportunities there. So India is not only having the wherewithal to, with human resource and with talent and with entrepreneurship and with government support, we are also having the largest pool, if I may say so. I am repeating this, I have said this earlier also. Largest market and largest unaddressed or underaddressed market. Largest pool of unsolved problems. Air pollution. If there is to be a solution, probably electronics will be a major part of the solution. It will not happen without that. So in each and every area, wherever you see pain, wherever you see an unsolved problem, electronics is probably going to be a part of the solution, and that gives us room to innovate, that gives us room to design new things, and that gives us room to grow something which is, we need not only compete for existing products. This again I have mentioned earlier, but I deeply believe in this, that product segments, iPhone did not exist little more than 10 years ago. Today it contributes such a huge revenue and profit to the most profitable company in the world. By 2025, by 2027, by 2030, the products that will contribute the largest revenue in electronics in the world. Some of them, many of them don't exist today. We have to dream up those products. We have to make them happen. Let us have the confidence that where there is a problem, that is the place where innovation happens best. And we have the problems, we have the ability to apply our talent to solve those problems. And that probably is the route, is the direction in which we can find maximum success. Number one, we must strive to, we must understand what is incomplete in our ecosystem and bring all the players together to complete our ecosystem. In that, a few countries may be very important for us as partner countries: Taiwan, Japan, Korea, China, possibly Malaysia, Germany, Israel, and wherever else, and the US, of course. And wherever we can find the best technology, I think we need not think only of competing with them. First thing is to help them land into India, into the Indian ecosystem, have a soft landing, have a comfortable landing, settle down, grow their business. We help them grow their business. We help them become big in India. It will make us big as an Indian electronics ecosystem. It's not just competition. It is getting all of them, all the players into our stadium. Then our stadium will be the best stadium in the world. So it is on these lines, I think, that we must move together. We must move as Team India. Whichever vertical you represent, in that vertical, please help us achieve the same level of understanding as ICA has helped us achieve in terms of mobile phones, and which has resulted in the PMP being formulated. Help us achieve that depth of understanding. We know something about set-top boxes now. We know something about LED, the lights and all. Help us achieve that understanding in case of medical electronics and medical devices and various other verticals, the automotive electronics. And let us, each one of these deserves attention, because we have to get all the players into India and embedded into our ecosystem. So I hope we will be able to figure out what it takes to get where we want to go. And we are always there with you. I think we, at least in terms of government, hearing and being ready to hear what the industry and what the market is telling us, we probably don't need the hearing aid now. And we are hearing you loud and clear, and we want you to step up and speak up and tell us what needs to be done further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Mr. Harish Krishnan to thank the audience for their participation.
Sajay Sani, Secretary, Ministry of Electronics, Dr. Ajay Kumar, Sanjay Rakesh, Dr. Devashish Datta. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to do the vote of thanks. At the outset, I wish to congratulate the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to bring GCCS to India. This is truly a world-class event. The Secretary was telling me before the start of the event that almost 9,000 people have registered and we're only able to take 4,000. And this is one event, normally in events, people send you reminders to attend. In this one, I got a mail today morning saying, if you're not going to come, please let us know, we will give the seat to somebody else. So it looks like a pretty oversubscribed event. And also in terms of execution of the event, I think it has been done in a very technology savvy manner. I myself registered for the event and everything was online, registration, getting the invitation card, printing the badges. So clearly the Ministry of IT is walking the talk and using digital technologies in this conference. Mr. Sani, thank you for your leadership and a lot of hard work of your team. It's very evident already. The theme for today's session was rising ESDM in India. And Mate and I have been associated with this sector for over 10 years, but we now truly feel that we are at the cusp of the breakthrough. And I say this for 5 reasons, and many, both Drs. Ajay Kumar, Mr. Sani, and Sanjay Rakesh have all talked about it. The reason I feel optimistic about this point in time is because, one, Digital India has unleashed a huge domestic market. India's domestic market today is about 100 billion, estimated to grow to $228 billion by 2020. And domestic demand is obviously a foundation for creation of a domestic hardware ecosystem. The second is, again, that what the Secretary mentioned, a great focus on exports. While India for India is interesting, what is truly exciting is India for the world. While India's demand is about 228 billion, as I mentioned, the world market is $2.4 trillion. And frankly, we should aim for that. In the recent times, both industry and the government are focused on this. The third reason is cost of manufacturing in India is showing a steady decline. When we started having this conversation 10 years ago, we started about a 20% cost difference between operating in India and in operating in the world. And that difference has come down to 6 to 8%, in some cases 4 to 5%, depending on which product segment that we're talking about. Over the years, our infrastructure has also developed. And the turnaround time in ports, for example, it used to be like 1 week's time. Now our turnaround time in the Chennai port is a day's time. So it's a significant improvement over the years. Fourth is a clear recognition by both the government and industry to need to have a subsector view of the industry. And we cannot have one size fit all. And the Secretary mentioned about the approach of the government. And I'm very glad to see that we have now formed working groups on several subsectors and looking at what are the policy stimuli that will help different sectors. What will help in consumer electronics might not help, for example, datacom products. And therefore, we need to look at that, and I'm glad that the government is doing it. Finally, what really encourages me, both in terms of the industry person as also somebody representing a global company, is a clear recognition that we need both a top-down approach and a bottom-up approach to foster manufacturing ecosystem. We need both the large global players and the Indian players. We need big OEMs, EMS, component manufacturers. And I clearly see signs of policies that address that issue. And the Secretary also spoke at length about that today. In conclusion, I see the next 10 years as crucial for India to emerge as a global hub for electronic manufacturing. We in the industry are committed to the vision of India becoming a global hub and look forward to working with the government to make this vision reality. I once again thank everybody on the podium and the Ministry of IT for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I now request Director Ms. Sunita Verma to kindly come to the stage to hand over the mementos. Along with ma'am, I request Ms. Geeta Katpalia, Scientist G, to please come to the stage and give the mementos to the August panel. Shri Ajay Prakash Sani, Secretary Meity, please. Dr. Ajay Kumar, Additional Secretary Meity. Shri Sanjay Kumar Rakesh, Joint Secretary Meity. Dr. Devashish Datta, Scientist G and HOD Meity. And Shri Harish Krishnan, Vice President Mate. With this, we conclude the first session of the morning. We are not in a position to have a tea break formally, but in case you would like to have a cup of tea you're more than welcome to step outside. We start with the next session now, which is a panel discussion in which our eminent panelists include Shri Sanjay Kumar Rakesh, Joint Secretary, METI, Dr. Debashish Datta, Group Coordinator, R&D, METI, Shri Ashok Dhawan, Managing Director and VP, Plextronics, Shri Kiran Shah, Managing Director, Velankani Group, Shri Hariom Rai, Co-Founder and Director, Lava, and Shri Manish Sharma, President and CEO, Panasonic India and South Asia. The session would be moderated by Shri Vinod Sharma, Managing Director, Deki Electronics.